pissing at me? Jeez, you've been doing that for hours. There, get burned. Anyway, what's up guys, it's the PlayStation Pichu and welcome to the final episode of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Not just Spyro 3, not just Spyro 1, not just Spyro 2, the entire trilogy as a whole. And in this episode, we will be entering the super bonus round, which is basically everything great about Spyro 3 crammed into one. And while we play through, I think I'll give my thoughts on... Oh, wait, hold on.
Hey, you finally made it, Spyro! Hunter was a little worried about you when you went off to fight the sorceress, but I always knew you'd beat her. This place is where the sorceress kept all her treasure, but after she was defeated, a bunch of thieves came and stole it. If you can catch the thieves, you're more than welcome to keep the treasure. Oh, by the way, Hunter is around here somewhere. He's been tinkering with one of his new toys all day, and he wants to show it off. You should go see him.
Alright, so basically, here are my thoughts on the Spyro Reignited Trilogy as a whole. Overall, I give it a 10 out of 10. I enjoyed the whole ride, like from start to finish. Right when I started Spyro 1 during my humble beginnings, when I was doing Spyro 2, finally being able to play through it fully, instead of being able to only play it partially. And of course, I enjoyed my completely blind playthrough of Spyro 3, Year of the Reignited Dragon. And I gotta say, I love everything about it. Let's start with Spyro 1, shall we? The concept of nasty Nork watching the dragons on TV and getting so offended when he gets called ugly, especially with the look on his face. Oh, it's just precious. Man, I always get a laugh every time I watch that intro. And what I find a little odd is that he doesn't petrify Spyro along with everyone else, but hey, Spyro's a small dragon. He'd never expect someone as small as Spyro to be such a huge threat. I know I wouldn't. But after the events of the first game, you would have second thoughts, now wouldn't you? Yeah, thought so. And of course, I always laughed at the running gag of the "Thank you for releasing me" line. You know that one. And I always imagine it being like, "Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me. Thank you for releasing me." You stop saying that? I swear if these guys say it one more time. Thank you for releasing me. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna kick your ass!
Hi, Spyro. Did you see Bianca? She was really worried about you when you went off to fight the sorceress. It was pretty funny. She tries to play it cool, but she was scared stiff until you came back safe.
No hints or tips?
I just finished fixing up an old submarine. Why don't you try taking it for a spin? Want to take my sub for a spin?
No hints or tips? No.
Great.
And
Hop
then he
aboard.
just pulls out his hands like, really? And then the next one is like, I swear, if they say thank you for releasing me one more time, and it's... He's about to say something, but then it's like, Spyro, did you know that you can get your best glide at the tip top of your jump? Thanks. Oh, and also thank you for releasing me. And then something going on the frame.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'd imagine Spyro saying something like that, though. Though for the record, there aren't a lot of hints that they can give anyway. So at one point they can only say so much before saying the same thing.
Yeah, they sometimes repeated some hints later in the game, but cut this game some slack. It was the first game. They were trying to figure out how the heck to make the series And once they hit the second game, that's where they kind of made the rest of the last game kind of, you know, in many aspects, but a continuation, so you didn't have to relearn anything. They just remind you that you could do this at the start, and then they don't return it later, because you have all your powers from the second game. So, yeah, it's basically a good transition, and the first one is easily forgivable. It's a quick game, but it gets down the collectibles part, that's for sure.
Yeah, and by far my favorite dragon has to be the one in Stone Town. You know the one. Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here? He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg. Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
You know my favorite, if you go by the original version of Spyro 1, that is, I just don't like how they changed the emotion of the line, but it's in Beastmaker's homeworld.
Thanks, Spyro, I appreciate it. But I gotta go?
Yes, that one. Spyro, it's great to see you, but I gotta go.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I just don't like how they kind of bored him in the remake, that's all. I just wish we could get an option for original dialogue as well. Like even the original graphics would also be cool, like in the Halo Anniversary editions, you know, where you can switch between the old and new graphics. But I'm glad they put in at least the original soundtracks. And speaking of which, they finally added in the original skeleton dance music. No more
Check it out. This is the world's fastest turbo snowboard course. The local champions are the Sasquatch Six, a gang of Yetis on souped-up snow discs. I bet that you could outrace the lot of them. If you win, we'll get a huge pile of treasure. If you lose, I'll have to slick down the whole course with my tongue.
I don't want to detract you from your
So, ready to race?
Yeah, and speaking
Right
of
on!
the skeleton
Just don't
dance,
lose,
that's,
or my tongue's gonna be a
good time for
popsicle.
me to transition to Spyro 2. Now, as you guys may know, I actually played Spyro 2. It was when I was way younger. When I was, 10.
Bad start, actually. I think Spyro was 10 years older. He certainly is cocky like a 10-year-old, that's for sure.
Oh, I know that. But anyway.
You were in the right mindset. I was a lot younger, sure, but hey, you were pretty much good in the good enough range to basically enjoy Spyro the most.
I would have to say that was you, since you got to experience the entire trilogy as opposed to the only being able to play a part
I
of
was
it.
just lucky to get a collector's edition box that, you know, someone's going for nowadays. You want to use, it's about $100, but if you want to get it brand new, $500, so good luck. Apparently my parents got it off of a pawn shop for Christmas the one time, so yeah. And I will admit, my box for the 3 cases is a bit torn and I had to tape it up. And the Spyro 1 case is kind of shattered, so I had to tape that too. So yeah, it's a little bit rusty over the years. And I've tried to get the disc for Spyro 2 resurfaced, and the ID Speedway was unreadable because of the scratch.
Anyway.
To test that right now after I got that resurfaced, I just decided, let's get all 3 games resurfaced just in case. So I paid the money and registered to get them to resurface the discs. Luckily it was compatible with PS1 discs. And if you're really new to the PlayStation era and you don't know what the PS1 disc looks like, just take a regular disc and look at the backside, and it's all black. There you go.
Right. Anyway, my thoughts on Spyro 2. I think it's a nice improvement over the first game, but not without its drawbacks. First of all,
consider the second one the best one of them all, and that's kind of why they returned Ripto in later games, which we should not mention that game because there's so much controversy behind Spyro and Dragonfly.
Right, and I wasn't going to bring it up anyway.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found.
He does return in another game, but that's another game we don't like to mention called Spyro Orange: The Cortex Conspiracy, or if you're British, it's Spyro Fusion.
Yeah, but one thing I I noticed that was very odd was that Ripto is barely mentioned in any of the worlds. Like, yeah,
It's probably because worlds don't know it yet. The only ones that know technically are Hunter, Wednesday, and Laura, and Sparks.
Right, but there's something called the Gruntilda effect, which was going from John Farm's boss battle when he was Cleary.
It all has to do with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, it's basically where you build up a charismatic villain that the players beat down. You build them up.
To me, because I played a little bit of Banjo-Kazooie on the emulator, I noticed there was literally zero mention of Ripto. They had no mention of him in certain worlds, but yeah, it was rare, of course. No pun intended, but you get the idea.
Right. But like, it was perfectly easy for them to at least suspect that Ripto was behind it. Like, either show him doing those horrible things in the intros of the level, or just have him be mentioned. Like, for example, the moment where Moneybags gets Mufasa off that cliff on a plane, he could be like, that Ripto has caused enough damage. Ever since he destroyed the stock market, my finances has been...
explanation for a lot of this lack of content on cutscenes for. This was back in the PS1 days, so cut them some slack, they had some limitations, they had to work with the space on the disc as well, and a lot of stuff had to be cut. In fact, if you play the original game, you can look at the epilogue, where you get all those skill footage and stuff. Basically, it shows an extended bit called The Cut Creatures, the lost animals.
Yes!
Whatever, basically.
You schooled them like a bunch of frostbitten, flat-footed, molasses-eating, lead-pants-wearing, cross-eyed glacier trolls riding slabs of plywood with sandpaper on the bottom. Yeah, we want some shiny stuff, too.
There's like a lot of cut enemies. There's probably more cut content, and believe me, Spyro 3 is one big contender for that one. And we'll get to that one in the next video.
Potentially, if I finish my thoughts on all three games. But anyway, like, sure, maybe it's the PS1 days, but there's no reason why they couldn't and add a little bit of detail in the Reignited Trilogy. I mean...
I understand, but I think they just didn't want to piss off fans, pardon my language. They just settled for what was there in the first place before they started adding new content. I think they did the exact trilogy, other than adding time trials to the first two games, despite the fact that time trials did not exist for the third game, and so they do not work well in the first two games. And even by Chris, when he did the video on all the platinum modes, you have to believe me, you do not want to go to that trouble, especially with the first game, which is so close to make you take your time. And believe me, trying to rush that one, just get a kid versus footage, good effing luck. Basically, I think that Toys for Bob did not want to make the same mistake in adding new content, and they just settled for what was there in the first place and just fixed up the graphics, and that's it.
Right, but still, they could have built Ripto up as a more threatening boss than he currently is. And for the record, I will say that they do a few extra things that justify it a little bit more. For example, at the very intro, I remember this since I played the original version. When he said he hates dragons, he just yells as if acting like a child throwing his tantrum, only to get zapped by Zoe. But in the Reignited version, he not only yells, but he also lights up his scepter as if he's about to attack, only to be stopped by Zoe.
He actually becomes threatening in the cutscene.
Yeah, and like...
The thing to notice with the cutscenes, they're more expressive, they have more emotion and more thought put into them. Probably because they weren't really working off of the limitations of the PS1 where they couldn't really move those ways. And they probably had more freedom to stretch their body in ways that are needed in order to express the emotions. I mean, seriously, even the re-recorded dialogue has more emotion. You'll notice it definitely if you play the cutscenes back to back with the originals.
Right, and one thing I do like is the moment when Hunter actually tries to get Ripto give back the power crystal, but he just sidestepped. Well, I tried. And he actually did try. I don't know whether or not this is in the original version because I haven't got that far, but it's that.
Some extra potions and stuff like that. Not many, but they do a bit more here and there. But they also got some potions, like when he was supposed to snap his fingers after, you know, Laura mentioned he couldn't even find his running shoes. I like in the original how even for a hand, he still snapped his fingers when it looked like he was remembering where he put his shoes.
Right.
And then he runs off to do that. But
right.
The remake doesn't have that whole sequence out for some reason. I don't know why. They could have easily animated a snap fingers. In fact, he would have had fingers.
Right, but I do like how Laura roasted Hunter after he was a bit of a jerk to Spyro in that cutscene. And speaking of which, I had an idea for how Moneybags could have described Ripto in that Autumn Plains. That Ripto has caused enough damage. Ever since he destroyed the stock market, my finances have been in the gutter. If it wasn't for Spyro, I'd be bankrupt. With Pillar here, I'd give him a piece of my mind. In fact, I'd give him a lot more than that. I was a champion bantamweight boxer at UFC. Still know a few moves. Take that! And that! Ow! Why you... But I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, for the characters introduced... Yeah.
In fact, if you actually notice, he actually rolled hits off in the remake part of my language.
Right.
More angry. I think he's had to practice and put in 20 years, so he's probably gotten better at acting. That's
yeah.
For sure. Especially the case with Tom Kenny. Spyro didn't get Carlos Adelazaki to voice Spyro 1 Spyro again. But hey, Tom Kenny has got the better voice acting than he was able to do. Carlos Adelazaki Spyro voice. And perfect and all that. I guess it's not a total loss. I don't know.
And for what I think of the characters. Now finally for Spyro 3. Year of Tragedy.
I noticed something that they forgot to put into Spyro 2 for remake. And if you played the original, you'll notice that if you look at Spyro's monster gameplay or cutscenes, he's basically ticked off. Probably because he lost his vacation. That's what people say. He's ticked off because he got his vacation canceled. But if you play the remake, they just use the same model across all 3 games, so he's just content. I wish they would have remastered that model of him angry just for the second game. It would have been funny. Or even just put it in the cheat code. Come on. It was cool. I mean, they added the cheat code for the sunglasses.
Yeah, and anyway, on to Spyro 3. This is the best game of the trio. It's a Gruntilla.
My opinion. I love this one the most myself, so please do tell me.
Right, the Gruntilla effect is on full force with the Sorceress. With her being such a jerk to Bianca and mutating monsters into truly horrifying eldritch abominations. And, of course, let's not forget all the new stuff added. The Sparks minigames, skateboarding, and the new playable characters, Sergeant Bird, Sheila, Bethany, and John. Being able to play
the playable characters thing. This was actually running out of ideas, and this is what they did to try to cover that gap. Because, in an interview, they mentioned this. Spyro doesn't have any hands. He can't hold a gun. All he can do is just basically run, jump, and fire, and glide, and stuff like that. So they were running out of ideas on how to continue the series, especially with the contract of 3 games back in the day. So basically what they did was they made new playable characters to cover some of these limitations, like the gun thing. Thank you, H9, and Sergeant James. So yeah. And plus they also wanted to reference a lot of games popular back in that time period. So a lot of those minion levels was reference those. Like the H9 level in Fireworks Factories are reference too. And the skateboarding challenges are clearly a reference to Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
And I love how the First, let's start with the Laura.
Don't forget the Matrix. They did that a lot with the Fireworks Factory. That's a lot of stuff. All
Yeah.
that, the freeze frame spin around. That's Matrix. Seriously, all that can be seen in the first film alone. And that was what was pretty much out at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And for what I think of let's start with Laura as... Actually, let's start with the titular character himself, Spyro. If any of you have ever played a Sonic game, you should have a pretty good idea of how Spyro acts. Tough, cheesy, tough, edgy, funny one-liners. Yeah, I think the only difference is, instead of going fast, he lies, fire, you know, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, basically.
And being that we're with this little purple guy throughout the entirety of all 3 adventures, it really helps you really relate to it.
And plus they added the ninja roll from the first game across all 3 games, and so it can help pro players become even more pro, because that's usually a hard thing to dodge with a lot of the time, and so with it across all 3 games, you got the practice chance now. The only problem is I won't be playing the Reignited version as the permanent way to play Spyro Trilogy. It's got some things it needs to get still. And luckily we're getting a lot of that, but skeleton down, so it's a good start at least. But there's a lot more that it needs from the original trilogy, and so I wouldn't call it the defining version yet, but we're close to that.
Right. So anyway, back to the characters. Starting with the professor, is something I completely forgot to mention when talking about the differences between the original and Reignited, was that when Alora begs the professor to shut the portal down, the professor apparently can't due to broken glasses, but in the original game, there really is no indication that his glasses broke. It's just comes off with a random gas. But in the Reignited version,
the graphics limitations back in the PS1 days, so we're having back once again. It's limitations of the old days, you gotta remember that.
right, but in the Reignited version, when Ripto's sniffing, bro, he actually grabs the professor and tosses him to Alora and Hunter, which causes his glasses, which is very clever. And of course, I love the little book boy's nerdy attitude, dude. And he's voiced by Tom Kenny, as far as I know.
He was voiced by Tom Kenny in the original and the remake. That's why he sounds like a Professor
Yep.
Yeah. Tom Kenny voiced several characters in the trilogy, actually, not just Spyro the Professor, but also some side characters here and there.
Right.
That's why the electrodes in what's it called?
Turcos sounds like SpongeBob.
Yeah, the gear grinders, whatever the abilities are called, they sound like SpongeBob. That's why they're voiced by Tom Kenny.
And for Alora, I think that
Tom Kenny has range, even without doing his show history. Just looking at the trilogy here, you can tell he's got range on his voice.
right. And for Alora, she's probably one of my favorite characters. I especially love her playful personality and how she says, "I'm a fawn, you dork."
I'm a fawn, you dork.
I also love Hunter's snarky attitude. Especially
Hunter was originally voiced by the same guy who voiced Ripto, because they technically based Ripto off of one of the employees, and so that employee would voice Ripto and Hunter. But in the remake, I guess they couldn't hire him for that long, so they just made him voice Ripto, and that was it, because, well, he would have been the only choice, really. And as for Hunter, they probably just got a surfer dude.
and
which
quite
actually
honestly,
works.
And
works.
this voice is substantially more fitting than the original version. By far.
Honestly, Hunter always seemed like a surfer dude to me, and so I don't mind him getting a surfer voice in the remake. It just works. It's a good change. It's like how I love the fix they did for one of the voices in Spyro 2 when it came to whatever the level was with the land blubbers and stuff, and there was this whole Romeo and Juliet mission. In the original, they had Juliet voiced by a dude going, "Romeo, Romeo." Whereas in the remake, they actually got a woman to do it, and it fits perfectly, honestly. I like that change because, honestly, it bugged me in the original game, but that was the only problem I had in the original game anyways, and it was so minor, I could easily forgive it.
Yeah, and anyway, for Ripto, I don't like that he wasn't built up very much, but I do love his destructive personality. It does give you enough motivation.
And they increased the difficulty in the bosses, probably because with 20 years of experience, old-time fans would have probably gotten so good at acing Ripto for the skill point. So, yeah, there you go. They probably made it tougher for a reason. And trust me, I think the torture was worth it.
Yep. And then we get to the brazenly avaricious, duplicitous larcenous Ursine Moneybags.
I'm pretty sure a lot of fans complained about him in the second game, and so they let us get our revenge in the third.
In the most satisfying way imaginable. If my laughing was anything to go by...
Funny though, with the original games, if you use the Moneybag skip glitches, these are across the second and third game, sorry. Yeah, the second and third games just have used this PS1 days. You use certain terrains you can land on to skip Moneybags. And then when you get to the end of the game, it goes down to nothing. And the third game, same thing. Well, he would have gone down to one hit, and he would have been still tuckered out. It would have made the laugh harder.
Anyway, then on to the
Honestly, these are patched in the remake. I'm shocked that they didn't keep searching glitches and leave them on screen there, which would have been fun because then we could have at least touched them around the level and did all the hard work they did.
Right. But anyway, on to the playable characters. I don't really have much to say about them, but I'll say what I can. For Sheila, I love how he sends Moneybags blasting off again when you unlock her. And her Australian accent... A lot of fans complained about her design, though. Honestly, I don't give a crap. It's okay, but yeah, I would prefer the original body shape because it was more kangaroo-like instead of having her with a tiny waist and thick thighs. See why people complain, but honestly, I don't care if worse. Plus, they actually got an Australian lady for her this time. I know, her Australian voice is totally legit.
Yeah, I guess if it was a little bit more forced in the original, but what are you gonna do? It was the old days, they had to do something. Plus, they were rushing the game for 2000 because you're the dragon. So, that's back once again.
Then for Sergeant James Bird...
Once again, played by Tom Kenny.
And he had limited ammo when we first met him, and he wanted to conserve it.
I don't know how she did it, Spyro, but the sorceress must have survived that last battle. She's been waiting here all this time, saving up her magic to destroy you. Your best chance of defeating her is my flying saucer. I've cast some spells to give it extra firepower and unlimited flying time. The rest is up to you. You've come this far, Spyro. I know you can beat her.
Lovable. And he's the reason why I call... Yep. But by far my most favorite character was Agent 9. Have you ever wondered what time will be like in the Spyro universe? Look no further than Agent 9.
Yeah, Agent 9 is unstoppable, and
yep. So...
cares for his little brother or something. Even going as far as to do stupid tests, like trying to get the ball back, like doing a boxing match with another Yeti.
So anyway...
And even in the end, it turns out the Yeti never had the ball, but that thing was still I mean, come on, he's a nice guy. He's a gentle giant. He's like, he's never seen her home. He's like Predator, numbers 2 Predator movies before dying a gigantism.
Right. But anyway, that's all for...
Yeah, he overtowered Arnold Schwarzenegger and was a pretty powerful soldier, but behind the scenes, he's a gentle giant.
Yep, so anyway, that's all for the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Enjoy the final cutscenes, and I'll see you when I do a no commentary run of Team Sonic Racing.
Oh, and also...
Oh! Oh.